Hello people of the internet, my name is Preston, the programmer here at Leafy Games.
And I'm George, the artist, and we have quite a bit to show you for this update. So some of the things we've done, we've added a new ship, the Stargazer. If you've been with us for a while and you've watched a lot of our devlogs, you may actually recognize it. I think it's from like devlog all the way back from devlog number 9, so it's been a while. We took it off the sidelines, gave it a new coat of paint, and updated it and added all the new systems for the most part. And so hopefully you guys can help us start testing this new ship. We've also added crew bots, like AI. So you can add bots if to fill in empty spaces or just to play solo. You can add a few to fill in some of the roles of the classes. We've also added a priorities system to customize how they act and how they make decisions. It's all super early though, so just keep that in mind. There's almost 100% going to be a little bugs and stuff like that. We've added a simple system for the captain to issue a number of different orders to the entire crew simultaneously. So that should help communication. We've added a talent system with experience and crew leveling, and a number of other various updates, additions, tweaks, and changes that we'll briefly hit on. And if you want to know the full list, you can always head to our patch notes. We'll have a link in the description. So let's get started.
You'll start us off with a little tour, George?
Sure.
A little Stargazer?
Alright, okay, so this is the Stargazer. This is the bridge. We've done a few tweaks, but we tried to keep it close to the original as we could. So we added some of the screens you can see, which weren't there before, and we've modified it so like actually sort of off center, but kind of like that. The history behind this ship is actually it was supposed to be a luxury yacht sort of deal, but the gentlemen, which are like the pirate faction in our game, sort of took it over and outfitted it to serve their needs. So you can see little bits of evidence that this ship has been modified and tampered with heavily to be more than just a yacht, So you can see a turret control station here in the sort of the study sort of area. Back here, there's the captain's room. There's a couple different things here. Not much of this has any use yet, but it will in the future. Before, this actually was an elevator that brought us up to the 3rd floor, but now we just decided to keep things simple and move it over there. But elevators will be coming in the future. So the rest of the ship is actually sort of the crew service area. Here's sort of like a stairwell. From here you can get to the study. Here brings you up to the bridge where we just were. And then back here, this brings us to sort of lower areas. This is the cargo room. It's sort of a big room that actually serves a number of different jobs. As you can see, here's a couple of different stations for the scientist. The teleporter pad, which is like an older version. These are the weapons area. In fact, you can actually see the gentleman actually welded out and took apart this wall to get into the weapon system to upgrade it and to install a few new systems as well. So it's kind of, we like these little tiny details. In here, this is the engine room. As you can see, there's the classic switchboard, the safety toggles, and all the things we all know and love. But the reactor encasing is actually different. This is specifically designed to minimize the EM signature of the ship. I don't think it's currently in place. Instead, I think right now we actually have a custom component reactor that just has a smaller EM output for now, but eventually this will actually have some inherent qualities that most ships don't actually have. So it's kind of exciting. We actually have a couple different crew areas, like for sleeping and such. And here we have this is like the atrium. In this hallway we have the ship computer. This is sort of the crew quarters, like, kitchen, eating area. They would probably cook the meals here and then bring it upstairs for the guests and such. And here's a simple life support system, a bathroom, another turret control station. And if you're probably wondering right now, like, where's the nuclear device station? That's actually another step we're trying to take to differentiate these factions. The Alliance of Gentlemen probably will not have nuclear capabilities. They might have like a virus or something in the future that sort of makes it seem like they do. But currently right now, this very well may change, but you can't actually load a nuke and fire it on a gentleman ship. For a number of different reasons. One, because that would be a huge amount of work for them to theoretically create, modify just a yacht for, nuclear devices, and because nukes eventually will actually continually emit a heavy radiation signature, and these guys are all about stealth. So that would easily give them away. So now we'll go on to AI and bots.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the improvements and additions we made related to crew bots and captain's orders. So I'll start off with the basics for the captain's orders. It's not actually a complex system. It's just essentially just selecting one of these orders, and there's always one active at any time. So during battle or during combat, we're hoping that the captain will use this to help guide the crew during combat situations when maybe you can't fully explain everything, but you're sure that right now we want to hide from sensors or something. So this will let both the AI know and players know that this is kind of what you're trying to do right now. You're trying to hide from sensors or offensive attack or whatever the captain's sort of plan is. This, we're hoping, helps communicate between everyone what's going on. But in addition, we have full-on role bots, crew bots. So start off, I'll add a scientist bot. And so he can do various things. You can see he has a station right now. So theoretically, if we're in combat or something, he could run programs and viruses from this station. The bots do have to be at their stations, at their screens, to interface with them and do things. So if he's on a turret or something, he won't be able to run programs. So that's something to keep in mind when setting the priorities for your bots, which I'll explain right now. So the priorities, they're relatively simple. You could think of them as kind of a multiplier for what the bot will do. So the bot has some internal AI that's going. It's saying right now it should, it's manning its station because it figures that's the most important thing right now. If there was an invader on board, he might automatically go repel the invader because he knows that there's an invader on board. And as an example,
like you can set priorities via, there's different levels. You can tell them to ignore a certain priority as well.
So in this case, he just essentially won't ever repair a system. You're saying that that's not something that's important to you. In fact, ignore is very different than low. Ignore will never do it. Low it will kind of, it will still do it if it really, really thinks it's necessary, but it's going to do it a lot less. Essentially, these other things will be scheduled first, depending on their priority and internal settings as well.
So a good way to think about this would be if you had a pilot AI, which I don't think is in the game right now, but you probably would not want them to. You would probably want them to ignore systems that are damaged, or even invaders and stuff, because if they leave their piloting station, then the ship would just be sitting there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For example, the scientist, I might want him to man the station more than anything. I just want him to stay there, do his job, and use programs like crazy or whatever. So the AI will respond to a lot of things that might be helpful to keep in mind. For example, the alert level. If you put an engineer bot in, he's going to be a lot less likely to use coolant and a bunch of other things, just based on the alert level as well. I could show you. We could show you that real quick too. Also, you might be noticing there's a few new things here. Probably the biggest thing actually is crew level and XP, but we're going to talk about that in the next section. there's also the target ship. So you can set, based on the ships you've detected, you can tell the AI, and in fact everyone, it's a full-on alert level type thing where the whole crew sees it, and it'll show up on their list. It'll sort of blink red on the right side of their screen where they see the ship information, and also the pilot and turrets. Those views, they'll show up as red on the where you see kind of the targeting thing. So that lets everyone. The idea is it keeps everyone on the same page, and it also changes how the turrets will lock on and fire to things. So, for example, if you don't have a ship targeted, the turrets will not fire in their auto aim mode or with bots, because bots can also use turrets. And when a bot's using turret, does the turret, it does improve its kind of accuracy and gets smarter when the bot's using it. So to kind of reflect that a person, is using it. So trying to think of any other big things. There's definitely a system that's still in development, very much a work in progress. We're likely going to make some changes to it. I'm talking about bots, but yeah.
Yeah, like for the priorities, these are all sort of a multiplier, right? Like there's a ton of other systems in the background that just continually ask, what should I be doing?
Correct.
And actually when you do an order, this is actually a multiplier as well for the AI. So, for example, like stay close to captain, if you want them to do that, you could potentially, if this guy has ignore, he would ignore the captain's order to stay close because that's, a similar event.
Essentially, yeah.
It's being multiplied by 0, if you can think of like.
If you want to think of it, algorithmically or mathematically, you can look at these each as like a number, and it picks the top number. 0 multiplies any other numbers it would come up with by 0. So, for example, the system itself is developing a number for repel invaders. Right now it's 0 because there's no invaders. There's no one on your ship to attack. So it goes, okay, I don't need to do that. Even if you set it to max, there's nothing to do, like, you know what I mean? Because there's no invaders, so it just won't do anything forever. But if there were invaders and you set it to ignore, they would not. They would ignore them. Just, so
they would probably assume someone else would be taking care of it. So they would stay and do whatever they were doing instead.
Yeah. So they would literally just not do that. There is an important distinction there, like ignore and low. Low, they will still do it. It's on the lowest priority, so that anything else they deem as more important will go first.
There's still quite a lot of different layers that we have yet to add to this priority system, and so it's still very early. In fact, I think some of these are actually not even hooked up yet. So just keep that in mind. This is super early, but our goal with this update was that the AI would actually just at least help in some way better than playing alone.
We're hoping that, yes, this allows people playing alone or in very small crews to hopefully get some of the experience of being in a full crew and be able to play the game. We're designing it to be played with full crews. So the game has been, it's not necessarily balanced, but it's definitely something we're expecting. So this allows people who are playing alone or just one other friend who can't fill all the roles. This allows you to sort of fill in with a little bit of help from the game. So
it's something we're going to be continually adding to throughout the entire course of development. So just keep that in mind while you're using it, and let us know if you encounter any weird things. I'm sure you will. So we'll quickly go over the talents and then wrap this up. So now in the overview screen, just press tab to get here if you didn't know. Just click the talents area. The star map inventory missions are still empty, but talents is now got something. We probably should have gotten some XP and stuff first. In fact, we'll go back here for just a second. The entire crew levels together. There's no individual levels. We call it a crew level. I think that further emphasizes that everyone is in this together. And the crew levels up by gaining XP via destroying enemies, visiting undiscovered or unvisited sectors, and in the future, a lot of other different things like doing missions and a whole bunch of interesting things you can get XP from. And when you gain, like 2 XP, for example, we'll level up to 2. And I think every level you get 2 talent points to use. and we don't have any currently. But as you can see, there's these gray talent points, where just general. Everyone has the ability to upgrade these general abilities. Like you can increase your health, you can increase how long you are in a zero oxygen environment, and then currently there. But by the time this update by the time this update's out, there'll probably be a few more class-specific ones. You can see the color-coded ones are class-specific. So the captain has the ability to increase, there's a scavenger talent, which increases the amount of captured credits by 5% per rank. So if you're really into credits, this might be something worth investing. So yeah, just keep this in mind. It's very early. We're gonna have tons and tons of talents, I think, and we're pretty happy with how simple the system came together. As you can see, we're the captain right now. The captain actually has to manually add the talents for any AI bots in the crew. So just keep that in mind as the captain. The AI isn't gonna do that. We figured we want to give players control over that.
Perhaps we might play with the idea in the future that the AI has a priority level for setting talents or something. But for right now, that's not something we're going to tackle. So yeah, we'll let the captain make those decisions. But if a player is, of course, if a human player is playing as a role, they pick their own talents. The captain doesn't pick theirs. Everyone can see their talents, but they're the ones making that decision. So there is the individual decision there. It's not just the captain saying, hey, you get this, you get that. So.
Yep. And I think that about wraps up some of the bigger changes we've made.
Yeah, I can go over, I'll spend a minute here just going over some of the small changes. And then we're going to go over some of our future plans for videos and updates through Phase 3. So, just to start off with, we've made some improvements to the scientist screen. You can take a...
I'll just fly around while you talk.
Sure. So the scientist screen, especially the programs tab of that, has been upgraded and changed. So we no longer have charging slots on a warp drive. You could kind of think of it as every slot is a charging slot, so you now have 10 charging slots. And it will charge those in left to right order, and then top to bottom. So kind of like if you're just reading English, it charges the programs in that order.
Yeah, maybe we should just show them. As you can see, there's no more blue charging slots. So, if we were to charge these programs, it would literally just charge like that.
Yeah.
So the order in which you place these becomes, the order in which they're charged. So just keep that in mind.
Exactly.
That was some of the feedback we actually got. That was some community feedback. It's pretty cool.
Yep, and there's also some new viruses there, but we can kind of let you just discover those for yourselves. Those are for the Stargazer. Those are, so gentleman viruses. We wanted to add a little bit of variety, though. We're trying to, because we didn't even talk about it, but the new uniforms for each of the factions has a uniform and also a unique starting location. But we'll kind of let you figure out all the details for yourself.
Oh, look at this guy.
He's a little,
yeah, we still have a bit of work to do before this update comes out. We're doing the video a bit early.
So yeah, I think that about wraps up 0.45. We're also at this time going to be announcing our plans for Alpha Phase 3, specifically how the schedule for updates and videos. The idea is that we're trying to add a more consistent schedule, I suppose, to when we release both game updates and videos, to make sure that everyone, reduce miscommunication and make sure everyone's on the same page. So we are, for Phase 3 at least, if it works, we'll probably take this into beta, is that we're going to be doing weekly videos and bi-weekly updates, or updates every 2 weeks. This means that, of course, there's going to be a video about the devlog, and then there's going to be sort of a secondary video. We'll likely do those about specific topics related to the game. So, for example, we might do like an art-related one, or maybe I'll go over some specific challenges I've been having, or they're just sort of side videos, mini videos, whatever. But then every 2 weeks we have our devlogs, which come with a new update. So it's just something to keep in mind, is that now every video is not necessarily going to have an update. But updates will be on a 2-week schedule. So they should be nice and predictable. In fact, it even shows in-game now the number of days until the next update. So.
Yeah, and you're at the main menu. So we're holding ourselves to a more strict standard, and hope in the order to just be more clear with you guys and increase communication. So we'll see how it turns out.
So yeah, we want to exactly. We just want to be predictable and make sure you guys understand when, because it does kind of suck when we just release something randomly, but it's it's just because we're really busy. We're trying to get as much in as possible. Mm-hmm. But we do recognize the need for communication. So this is our plan. So just to be clear, weekly videos. Our plan right now is every Wednesday a video, and then every other Wednesday an update. So I think that covers the schedule.
Yeah, there's like a million other things we've done. Well, not a million, but we did a lot of updates, a lot of other small tweaks and changes for this update. So keep that in mind. And with this update, we end Alpha Phase 2. So Phase 3, just quickly, is we're getting more into the content integration. We're finalizing some of these systems. Just generally, finishing up, tweaking, adding a bit more to each class. But we're also going to be adding more content now, and it's very exciting. We're really excited. These next few weeks are going to be special for us.
Yeah, and our next update, 0.46. We're not ready to talk about everything, but we are, I think, ready to say
I'm pretty sure
that it's gonna have updates to the star map, some audio updates, and some AI updates. So it's gonna have,
for sure.
Those are gonna be probably the main things we hit. We'll very likely get some other stuff in there too, but we're just trying to be a little bit more clear and upfront with the community, and we don't. The truth is that we don't like talking about things before they're done, but we're working on it. So we're getting a bit. Our development process is getting a bit more stable, so we're able to perhaps give you better answers now. So,
and just throwing this out there, a lot of you have been asking about Steam Early Access and Beta, and we're still a little hesitant to give you a concrete date, but we know that 0.5 is going to be the start of Beta. So, and maybe a bit after Beta or around Beta, we're seriously considering going into Steam Early Access. We just want to make sure before we dive into that there's a lot more to see and do. For the past for Phase 2 of the alpha, we've just been working on the systems and fleshing out a lot of those ideas. There still isn't a whole lot to explore in the game and stuff like that. So we really want to make sure that we're in a good position to continually add new content, and that there's a nice amount of content in the game already before we jump into that into that part of the process. So just wanted to give you guys some answers on that. I know it's still a little vague, but hopefully you can understand where we're coming from. We don't want to promise anything yet because development can be rocky, and who knows what kind of problems we're going to have in the next few weeks. But we're hoping that it's not too bad. We're hoping that it comes together.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. We will have a video in a week, so we'll see you then.
Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.